Today we are talking about the Olympians. The Olympians is something that is happening next season in Smite, and I've been getting a lot of questions, especially regarding if I will be joining them or will be kind of going into the competition for that. We'll talk about that, but let's first talk about what the Olympians actually are and what they do. HIREZ made a website where they describe all of that, so we're just going to go through that first. What is the Olympians? The Olympians is a player advocacy group consisting of players elected by the Smite game community to provide continuous feedback to the development team at Titanforge Games. The Olympians bring constructive feedback from the community, represent the community's interests across all demographics and platforms, and act as a focus group for Project Olympus initiatives. Benefits of membership. All elected members of the Olympians will receive the following: acceptance into the Smite Partner Program, free admission to HIREZ Expo, exclusive in-game avatar and title, flight and travel to the annual summit of Titanforge Games in Atlanta. Now, if you see this list of these 4 things, there's one thing that kind of stands out for content creators like me. I already get the Smite Partner Program, which is mostly getting some codes that you can give away. I already get free admission to HIREZ Expo, or at least I've gotten it in the last years. There's no guarantee that I'll get it every year, but so far I'm getting it at least. I already also get the flight there as well. HIREZ invites me to HIREZ Expo. I do not get a summit where I participate, that is exclusive for the Olympians, and I don't get an in-game avatar and title, but really, that is, to show it off a little bit. Just throwing that out there at the start already so you get a bit of a picture here, what I as a content creator for the game already have in comparison to what the Olympians get. Election process. Initial applications run from November 16th to January 1st. Applicants must be 18 years or older, have a valid passport or US ID, the ability to communicate in conversational English, and have no EULA or TOS violations. Applicants cannot be a former employee or have been contracted by HIREZ Studios. That, for example, means that people like PunkDog also wouldn't be able to join because they are contracted by HIREZ Studios, or Mythimu because he was contracted by HIREZ Studios. Applicants also cannot be a professional current Smite player. Voting will be held on smitegame.com from January 11th to January 25th. 9 delegates will be elected in total, divided as follows: 1 PC delegate with a focus on Conquest, 1 PC delegate with a focus on non-Conquest modes, 1 Xbox delegate with a focus on Conquest, 1 Xbox delegate with a focus on non-Conquest mode, 1 PlayStation 4 delegate with a focus on Conquest, 1 PlayStation 4 delegate with a focus on non-Conquest mode, and 3 general delegates on any platform as voted by the community. That means the Switch doesn't really get any attention here yet, but that's because the platform is way too new and we have long-standing community members on the other platforms that are probably better suited for this. They could also fit in through the 3 general delegates that just can come from anywhere and can basically be focused on any mode. I'm kind of expecting that the majority of those will probably be PC delegates, but we'll see. Term length. The first council will sit for a term of 12 months from January 2019 to January 2020. Members of the council may apply for successive elections, and there is no limit to the number of times they may be elected. In cases of code of conduct breaches or NDA violations, members of the council may be dismissed. In cases where a member resigns or is dismissed from the council before the end of their term, the candidate with the next highest number of votes that wasn't elected may be asked to join the council. Now, what's interesting here is that it specifically mentions the highest number of votes, meaning that in a way this will apparently be a popularity contest, as we can simply see here that the highest number of votes will matter for who gets a place. And I gotta be honest, I find that a little bit questionable, but we'll get to that. Code of conduct. Members of the council are expected to engage in discussion with Titanforge and other council members in a professional and constructive manner. Members of the council are expected to respect the non-disclosure agreement at all times and keep ongoing discussion with Titanforge private unless explicitly cleared to do so by Titanforge Games. Members of the council must follow the EULA and TOS at all times. Members of the council are expected to maintain a reasonable level of activity with the council and may not miss more than 3 meetings in a row unless reasonable explanation is given. Failure to abide by the code of conduct can result in early dismissal from the council. And then after logging in, you can apply, though the form seems to be down for a lot of people at the moment, so it may be in the near future that you can actually apply. What you have to provide is your legal name, your in-game name, your country, what platform you play on, how long you've been playing Smite, if you have a valid passport and ID for the US, who your favorite god is for whatever reason, and if you are a conquest-focused player, just to determine if you're the all-rounder or the conquest type. And then last but not least, probably the most important part, tell us about yourself. Why do you want to be part of the Olympians? Why should the community vote for you? And then there's also some extra information in the terms. I have read the contest selection process and list of council member expectations. I understand that completion of this form does not guarantee that I will be selected for the popular vote or as a council member, but certify that I meet all the council member requirements and am capable of performing all council member obligations. So that means there will be some sort of pre-selection by HIREZ before we get to the actual popular vote part, and not everyone who applies here will make the list, will make the first step. So you have to basically be chosen by HIREZ in the first step before you can get to the public vote, because they can basically rule out for whatever they want to. There is no information on how many people will actually end up in the public vote though, so that's going to be very interesting. Also, I understand that if I am selected by HIREZ as one of the council member candidates, I will need to provide additional documentation and execute both a non-disclosure agreement and player council participation agreement as provided by HIREZ. This would mean for somebody like me that there's actually a significant downside to signing up as an Olympian, because what would happen is I couldn't really talk about data mining anymore. I could technically kind of talk about it, I guess, from the pure data mining perspective, but at the same time I would kind of know what is true and what's not, and it would be a very gray area to say the least, a very risky field to be like, you know guys, this is probably going to happen or something, and then somebody would be like, hey, you're on the council, you kind of know if it's going to happen or not, so you basically confirming it or something like that. So also something that is not necessarily beneficial for me at least. And then last but not least, I understand that part of my obligations as a council member will require regular engagement with the game's community. This will mean that my player information, form identification, a short biography, and other online contact information will be publicly displayed on HIREZ website, meaning that people can easily reach out to you at any point basically, and that my council affiliation may be identifiable in-game and on third-party public forums. So you will probably be flagged in some way on Reddit as well, and on the HIREZ forums and whatnot. There will probably be some visual indicator that you're part of the Olympians. And the note after that is just saying that you don't have to reveal your personal information to the public. But what you can see from this is that I, as a bigger content creator in the game, already have most of the benefits, and it actually comes with a downside. I have the perks of going to HIREZ Expo, I have the perks of being able to communicate to somebody at HIREZ at any point and give my feedback anyways. And while it won't always be heard or won't be as focused on as maybe with the Olympians, because it's just a single opinion, I can still kind of utilize that if I want to and if I even find the time to do so. And at the same time, right now I can still work with data mining, which I know is now more accepted by HIREZ, but again, would be a bit awkward in the situation of being an Olympian. So I talked to Titan Isaiah about this a little bit, and I very much told him I think it should be important to note that content creators have a lot of these benefits, and for them maybe it's not necessarily a good thing to be voted into this panel, or rather others would get much more out of it. And he said this is something they will definitely take into consideration. He didn't make any promises obviously, but he said that they will look into it and they will look into who is selected and if that's actually the right fit, and at the end of the day they will have the final say in who actually gets on the panel, even if somebody gets a lot of votes, might be a troll or something, you know, just to make sure something like that doesn't happen. And I think that is something that anyone who's willing to vote here or is interested in voting here, as well as putting themselves up for vote, should keep in mind. If you are a content creator and you get certain perks here already, okay, I can see why you still might want to apply. If you don't get anything in regards to getting to Atlanta or not getting a ticket for HIREZ Expo covered or anything like that, you know, why not? But if you're one of the bigger creators that gets all that, or gets part of that, or knows that they won't get that anymore for various reasons, then maybe leave it to the people that, you know, actually have a shot and have the time to even focus on something like this. That is something that I think is very important. Most of the content creators in our community are busy with other things. They won't have endless time to collect loads of feedback and then get that to HIREZ in a timely manner as well. Others that have more time, that work on these things already, have a lot more time to focus on stuff like that. I have a few people in mind already, obviously some of the theory crafters in the community that I think would be very, very good fits for this. I will not talk about that just yet because it's not really worth it before there's actually a public vote. So once there's a public vote, I will definitely give one or more recommendations, probably multiple recommendations for multiple platforms, depending on how exactly the voting system will work. And as such, I would like to hear from you guys if you have anyone in mind, especially from the console side, that you would like to see on that, or if you think that you might be a good fit. I think, you know, having this popular vote behind it, there could be benefit in just finding someone within each content creators community that they think would be a good fit, and, you know, have the people in the community kind of support that particular person to give them a better shot or something. I'd honestly much prefer if it wasn't a popular vote, but at the same time I understand why it's being done that way when that person is supposed to represent the community. So in such, we gotta play into that game a little bit, I suppose, and if you're up for it, you can join it. And again, I will give out my recommendations once there are announcements for who will even be eligible. I personally won't be participating though, and I hope that most other content creators of a reasonable size won't either. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this gave you a good overview about the entire Olympians thing and what we can expect next season. If you're new to the channel, feel free to click the sub button with the bell, it really helps me out. And other than that, see you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth, out.